Wolves 0, Man United 1. Good performance, I thought, actually, on the whole. They're a good team at the moment, United. They've got to be treated like one as well. And I thought that we played well. We played the game plan very well. And Rashford, who's on the form of his life at the moment, has come off the bench and took his goal extremely well as well. There's no real complaints from me, really. I think we did more than enough to get a point out of the game. It wasn't to be, but I think under Bruno Lage, we'd probably lose that game 3-4, 5-0. I thought that we played well. I thought we were quite solid at the back. I don't want anyone to slag Nathan Collins off ever again on social media. If you're going to be that vocal about slagging a guy off, 21-year-old, on social media, when he makes a mistake, then it should be just as loud praising him. And there's nowhere near enough praise for him today. I thought it was unbelievable. Arguably the best player on the pitch. Don't think he put a foot wrong. And that first half performance I thought was excellent. Second half as well, to come out with the ball, dribble past a couple of people, drew a foul in as well. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I thought Nunez was great. Neves played good as well. Hwang did okay. There's no real complaints for me. I think the big changing point was Johnny for Semedo. I know Semedo was on the yellow card, but we know what Johnny was like before the World Cup after those ACLs, and he was one of my favourite players in this frozen era. He was so consistent, never let us down, never used to get skinned by anyone. I fancied him against anyone, 1v1. This season is a shell of himself, and you have 2 ACL injuries at that top level, you're going to get found out. I just don't think he's there anymore. I think he's just, unfortunately, not going to be the player he once was for us. Costa, huffs and puffs. He tries, can't really knock his endeavour or his application or attitude to wanting to do well, but I don't think he'd score 15 goals in the Kid and Minster League on a Sunday. I just think he'll never score for us. I want him to. I desperately want him to, but yeah, I just can't see him scoring goals for us, unfortunately, and that's obviously a big problem for us. Can't wait for Cunha to come in against Villa on Wednesday. And look, I think, there's loads to be positive about at the moment. Like I say, we lost by a very narrow margin. Small margins at the top level will kill you. And, it was one, I don't want to say magic. I think we could have defended it better, for sure. But Rashford in the form he's in, he was never going to miss when he's cut in and, he's in the box like that. So, you live and you learn, really. It was a much, much more improved performance and things we've seen from the first half of the season pre-World Cup. So, look, disappointing to lose, but we go again on Wednesday and hopefully we get the 3 points at Villa Park.
I think in the grand scheme of things, we got what we deserved from the game. I don't think we did enough to win it. I don't think we created enough chances, but what it is an improvement of what we've seen. So I'm trying to draw the positives from the game. It's definitely an improvement from what we've seen from the start of the season anyway, under Lage. So we look harder to beat, but we're just lacking something up front, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure of Cunha to come in and hit the ground running, and I don't think he's going to get you 15, 20 goals a season, which what fans are crying out for. But name me a striker outside of the top 4 who scored 20 goals in the league in a season. In the Premier League over the last 3 or 4 years, probably only the likes of Jamie Vardy and whatnot. So it's difficult. Other people have got to start chipping in with goals, but just not really creating enough either. I don't think we had many clear-cut chances today. I've not seen the Jimenez header at the end because I already left. But I've heard that was a good chance. But we look better. We look better, but there's still a long way to go. I think if you get a point from that out of the relegation zone before the end of the year, you're buzzing. But it's fine margins, and they brought on a goal scorer and a match winner, and he's done exactly that. I think it's probably no coincidence that the goal came once Johnny was on the pitch. I thought he looked like he just got out of bed. He looks half the player that he once was, and don't necessarily think that's his fault with the injuries he's had and the setbacks, but got to be bringing in another right back. I thought Semedo did okay. Couple of lapses in concentration, which you always get from him anyway. A back pass to Sarr that nearly made a great save, so I did well today. But I thought Semedo did okay on the whole. I don't think it was a booking. I understand why Lopetegui took him off to try and manage that risk. But as soon as Johnny came on, Rashford would have been licking his lips. So it's I would say it's a tough one to take because I don't think we were really in it. But I thought Collins was much improved today. I thought Núñez ran the show in the midfield, and that's the most frustrating thing. As a midfield three, we control the games we control that space against the best in the league because they're very talented footballers. But it's that final third. Pedence just frustrates the life out of me. It wants to hold on to the ball too long. Wants that Hollywood ball, just tempo, keep playing. It was an instance when he took the ball off Nori and he could have fed him in, and he wanted to take a couple of touches and he lost it. He's just such a frustrating player to watch. But yeah, it was better, but it still wasn't great. I'm struggling to see where the goals come from. Don't think Costa is like playing with Anthony Costa rather than Diego, but we all knew that. He gets in some great positions, but once he gets in those positions, it's like he's not fit enough to finish a chance. He looks like he's blowing out his arse, but it was better, but still a long way off. But like I said, Collins was a lot better today. I thought he did really well. I think Núñez ran the show. And Sarr made some really good saves. So disappointing, but I think we got what we deserved. And then it was almost a bit of a free hit anyway, because United are into the top four now. So difficult, but an improvement, and that's all you can ask for.
We should have got a point today. Plain and simple, we should have got a point today. The problem was not being clinical in the final third, not creating that many opportunities, and defensive mistakes. They've just been a tale of our season, unfortunately. And those old frailties came back to haunt us today. It's a frustrating one to take because I felt as though we probably did enough in terms of to keep them in the game. But the amount of opportunities that we gave away, Man United was bound to score one of them anyway. It's still frustrating, don't get me wrong. But I'm still really, really confident that Lopetegui's going to be turning this around. I still think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take more than one transfer window to fix all of the issues and iron out everything that's currently wrong at the football club and getting rid of the majority of the dead wood, which if you look at that out there today, there was a few players that either came on the pitch or started that are either dead wood, or you can just see that they're not bringing anything to the table. So I think there's probably about 6 or 7 that are good enough. Everyone else, if the decent offer came in, then yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be too mad at a majority of them going, to be honest. But difficult one to take. Final score, Man United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. I felt the team selection was quite good. I think obviously the shock was Nori not starting after 2-2, but I can understand why he's gone with Bueno. And to be fair, I thought he played better than what he did against Everton. Núñez coming into midfield, him in his proper position, shock horror. He looks really, really good. He looks like the player that we actually signed, and he's someone who I can't see him being at Wolves for much longer. He is so good at football. The first half we started it a little bit cagey, I thought. We still looked like we had a mistake in us. I thought Collins in the first couple of minutes he looked like giving the ball away at every opportunity. To be fair, the longer the game went on, the better he got, to be fair. And to be fair, the same, I'd go with the same sentiment as Max Kilman. The thing is, I'd still probably want another body in there, but I still thought they had a pretty decent game today. Semedo, I thought, was poor. The mistake that he made in the first couple of minutes, that's when you just knew, we could be in trouble here. It was a really, really good save from Sarr. He had to bail us out the shit a few times today. But then after that, it just felt as though we were progressing the ball quite well. We was maybe a little bit too slow in our movements. But every time we got into a decent position in the final third, we just didn't really know how to put the ball in the back of the net. I can think of one really good crossing opportunity from the left-hand side, and no one was there at the back post just committing to themselves because it was just Diego Costa and I think Pedence in the box. Second half, fair play. He's brought on Adama Traore, and this is the first time that we can actually see Adama, and he looks bothered. He looks like he cares. First thing that he does as soon as he gets the ball, he dribbles it past everyone, whips it a pretty decent ball, and then we were just a bit unlucky in terms of the way that the ball just fell out to United. Because throughout the whole game, they were just winning all of the second balls, and to be fair, this is probably the best United team that we've seen come to Wolves in God knows how many years, really. The other substitutions that was made, Johnny Otto coming on, he's actually makes Semedo look even better, and it's just really, really annoying. like, they're both as bad as each other. We're desperately screaming out for a right back of just some sort of quality, really. Defensively, we don't have a right back who can defend. And going forward, I mean, Semedo can attack, but he doesn't do it enough. And he almost seems too scared whenever he gets the ball in out wide and when he's actually driving at the opposition. Moutinho, again, I thought he was okay. Sometimes you didn't really notice him on the pitch, though, and he can do that quite a lot. He does tend to go missing in more games than he is effective, and I felt like he was more missing in the game than he was effective. I thought it was the correct sub to make. I just felt that going to the five at the back just really sort of opened up the opportunities for Manchester United. They were winning the midfield battle as soon as Fred came on as well. But you look at the goal, it was just really, really poor effort. Firstly, from Nathan Collins, it just didn't seem like he wanted to put his body on the line ready to try and get the ball. It was kind of a half-assed attempt to get it. Rashford just wanted it more than them. And Johnny Otto sliding on when you just allow Rashford to come inside onto his favourable right foot when you know Rashford wants to cut inside and go to his favourable foot, so you go to ground. Just frustrating. It's another avoidable goal, and again, that's been a thing of our season. We just can't seem to defend that well. And even going forward, we're not that good. Cunha's not going to fix all of our problems. He'll probably, stop the leakage of a hole coming out, really. He'll be the plug in that. But it's not the long-term fix. We need something that can, repair the ship at the moment. And the person who shouldn't be repairing the ship is Raul Jimenez. He is absolutely shocking. Every single time he got the ball, he didn't look like he was going to do anything with it. Every time he touched it, it went straight to the opposition. I think there was one opportunity towards the end, just after the Rashford handball. Honestly, I've not seen a replay of it yet, so I'm not going to comment too much on it. But as soon as Jimenez got the ball on this side, after Adama's just played it to him, Adama's got three men on him, so he passed it straight to the Man United players who are marking him. And then a massive thing that's really, really annoyed me about him, and I feel as though I want to get onto the topic of him, is the fact, obviously, he had the horrible head injury. Every single one of us supported him, through that as a fan base, really. We then also was chanting his name. Even when he came on today, we were still chanting his name. And we were still, come on, Raul, you can do this. You can still be that man. In what potentially could be his last game, he goes straight down the fucking tunnel. It's a massive fuck you to the fans that have supported him for God knows how long in that period. And I hope that he doesn't play again, to be honest, because, that is just embarrassing. And it just a massive fuck you to the fan base, really. But there's a lot of positives to take from that. Today, if we didn't win today, I still think that there would have been a case of we weren't expected to get the 3 points. As long as there was a lot of positives, then that'll do. But at the same time, we still need points and we still need to get out the relegation zone. I feel as though we can move forward from this game, and I feel like there's a lot that we can get from Lopetegui, but we still desperately need a lot of players in. I think once we get the players in, we will be fine. It's just about getting the players in, because if the longer we keep with this current core of the squad, the more I'm not so confident we'll stay up. Right, thanks for having me on Talking Wolves, and have a very good New Year out, every single one of you.
So in what was a spirited performance, I thought, from Wolves, we've come away with nothing. A tough one to take again, because I think there's definitely signs of improvement under Lopetegui, and that's clear to see on the pitch. I think the patterns of pressing was positive. The passing was much better than Everton. But today came down to individual quality, and I think Marcus Rashford brought that for Manchester United today. And a couple of defensive errors, which I think we got away with in the first half, came to the fore in the second when Rashford entered the fray. I don't know how he's managed to get through three of our players to score his goal today. Should have had a second. Thankfully, it was a handball. I'm not sure quite where it was. I need to look at that one back. But Collins got turned way too easily, and I think that's 2 or 3 times in the past couple of weeks where we've seen the defensive frailties in this squad. There's really, really desperate need for a defender to be brought in, an experienced defender with proper pedigree to be coming in next to either Collins or Kilman. I don't mind which one it is, because they're both as bad as each other at the moment, but I think that's clear to see that we need that.
Going forward was poor, but we've got used to that by now. I think we're really, really missing that clinical edge still. Hopefully, Mateus Cunha can add to that kind of clear-cut chance creation, because bar a Ruben Neves free kick and a header late on from Raul Jimenez, a tame Diego Costa effort in the first half, there was really nothing to shout about for us today. But I think we controlled the game well in the periods that we had possession. I think we did enough to deserve a draw, maybe deserve a point. No more than that. I think United weren't special today at all, but it was, again, down to individual performances and individual errors on either side that kind of caused this result. I think from what I can see, excuse me, from the 3 games that we've had under Lopetegui now, I think we've got enough to stay up. I really do. It's just a case of putting those results together. We need a good string of results. I think United was always going to be tough. I mean, they're in a great run of form at the moment on a proper hot streak, but it's possible. I think it's more than possible that we stay up. I think there are 3 worse teams in the league than us. It's just a case of putting these chances away, because I think we've looked more defensively solid, I want to say, as a unit, in our kind of midfield and defence as a whole. But it's just these individual areas that we need to eliminate from our game to really carry this team forward and gain some more points on the board. But overall, disappointing one to take, especially after the way that we held the ball. I think there was some good patterns of play. The pressing was good, but the kind of better individuals came through today.
So Wolves 0, Manchester United 1 in Julian Lopetegui's first home Premier League match in charge on New Year's Eve. I thought Wolves were a bit unlucky today. They played quite well. Certainly better than we have done in some of the recent performances at Molineux, which have been absolutely dire. You think back to the 4-0 at home to Leicester and the likes. But better today. Much better under the new manager. And hopefully that's a standard that we may have set now to go, because we will beat teams if we play like we have today. We're just missing that final ball, as everybody in the whole world knows. We're missing that final ball, and that's what's killing us. We lost to a lucky goal today. Well, it was a good goal, good skill, but it was a couple of lucky bounces. And Rashford off the bench won it for United, and he's playing at a world-class level at the moment, and Wolves haven't got anyone that is capable of really producing a moment like that at this moment in time that's fit in the squad. And it's as simple as that. And it's just it really is just the fine margins like that which won Manchester United the game, and that's the reason they're 4th, and that's the reason Wolves are 3rd from bottom in the Premier League. Thinking about Boxing Day, we played well at Everton. Well, okay at Everton, and won the game. We managed to win the game thanks to Lopetegui. Someone might say bringing Aït-Nouri and Totti Gomez on. Today, I don't think that was needed. I don't think Totti Gomez needed to come on today for Wolves, and I don't think Wolves needed to go to a 5, because I thought it was inviting more pressure. It had more cons and goods today, because you just felt that there was always an inevitability about Manchester United were probably going to score today. And when that sub was made, it felt like, we're setting ourselves in here, and we conceded soon after, and it kind of messed up the plan a little bit. But Aït-Nouri, I think, should be playing instead of Hugo Bueno. I do like Bueno. I do think he's very good, but Aït-Nouri's just more direct. I think he's our best left back, and Bueno isn't the best defensively at the moment either. He's letting his men get headers at the back post. Anthony had a couple of opportunities today. Of course, his man Mina scored at Everton on Stephen's Day. So, it's a tough one. Wolves did all right. They were moving the ball well. I thought Núñez drove on with the ball a few times well. Can't wait till January. Have to sign a striker. Jimenez came off the bench at a header save late on from De Gea. Unlucky not to score, but at the same time, Diego Costa's not done anything since he's come in, really. He's there as a stopgap to try and get us to January, really. And that's all he has been. Taken off at half-time today. Don't really know if there was anything wrong with him or not. Traoré came on, did all right, had a 10 minutes spell at the beginning of the second half. But with no striker on the pitch in the second half, I didn't think Wolves looked likely to score at all. And that's how it transpired. Wolves just can't put the ball in the back of the net. Hopefully the signing of Mateus Cunha will spur us on and help us in our quest, really, to find goals and find survival in the Premier League. but at the moment it's not looking great. Nelson Semedo's booking today was incredibly harsh, and that was a reason it to be taken off for Johnny, who, bless him, it looks like he's playing with a Zimmer frame now. No player does an MCL and an ACL and comes back the same, and it's apparent that Johnny won't and hasn't. Like, he's not good enough for this level anymore, John. We have to sign a new right back. I thought it might be Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I don't think we will anymore, purely for the fact that he's back in Man United's team now and doing all right. So we'll have to look at other options in that area there, but I'm not convinced with Semedo either. Although he did all right after the yellow card, he still had a massive error in the first half, which could have cost us dearly when he sold short with a back pass and nearly caused Grenache's score. But overall, yeah, also, only 5 added minutes. Do me a favour, Robert Jones. That was disgraceful. Nunes was down for about 4 in the second half, as it was. Like, 5 minutes, come on. And he blew it up on 95-12 when we had a chance to launch another attack, despite United's time wasting. But at the end of the day, it was a decent performance by Wolves, but that's really all it was. Didn't deserve to win. A bit harsh, maybe not to draw, but we look forward now to Villa on Wednesday, and it's a massive game, and hopefully Cunha will be able to play some parts in it, and hopefully Wolves will be able to get 3 points and drag themselves away from this relegation battle, which they are in, but they have a chance of getting out of now. We have a competent manager through the door at long last, so not all doom and gloom as we head into 2023 for Wolves. Things to be positive about, but by God, there's so much to work on as well. Wolves 0, Manchester United 1.
Wolves 0, Man United 1. Frustrating game today, really. Didn't think we deserved to lose it. Could argue we didn't really deserve to win it either, but fairly even game. Man United didn't really look anything special, to be honest. Started the game well. Played some nice football, some quite high tempo, a lot more intensity than we've seen pre-Lopetegui, which is always good to see. And I think really all over the pitch we look like a different team under him. I think we keep playing like that, we'll be alright for the rest of the season. But referee was awful today. I mean, how we booked Semedo, which ultimately led to him going off, and I'd have to see the goal again, but I do think if Semedo stays on the pitch, Rashford doesn't score their first goal. Obviously had another one disallowed through handball, which I didn't really see, if I'm honest. But yeah, I don't think he scores the first goal. Semedo's still on the pitch, who I thought was excellent today. Kept their left winger in his pocket, really, and even when Rashford come on, didn't really get a sniff up against Semedo. Collins also played very well, one of his best games, I think, in the Wolves shirt. Turned into Messi at one point in the second half, skipping around 4 or 5 players. But I mean, there was a foul on Kilman and a foul on Nunes, which I don't know how the referee hasn't given a free kick for both of those. And it's little things like that don't have they're not an obvious impact on the game in terms of sending off for a penalty, but those little decisions all adding up do affect the game, and these referees have been getting away with it for too long. So I don't really know what the answer is. You look at the referees in other leagues, and not necessarily sure they're any better, to be honest, but so I don't really know what the answer is. But the refereeing performance today was abysmal. But we've got to create more chances, really. I think Raul had a header at the end of the game which looked like it was about 6 yards out. I mean, it ended up going for a corner, but he's got to score there, really. If he's got his head on it that close to goal, he's got to be sticking it in the back of the net. Costa again, frustrating. He looked okay, but again, just never looks like getting a goal. Hwang, I thought, was back to his usual not very good self, to be honest. He looked all right out on the wing. Thought he might look better through the middle, but he's just not a lone striker at all. He sort of jumps towards a man every time the ball comes up to him without ever actually getting his head on it. Never really sort of challenges properly, which was disappointing. Didn't think Jimenez did much better either when he came on, really, other than, like I say, not scoring from that corner. But Cunha's available from tomorrow, so hopefully he'll make a difference when he comes in. I think we need that striker up front who's got a bit of a physical presence and a bit more mobility than Costa brings us as well. So he wasn't bad, but just never really looked like scoring. But yeah, disappointing day, really. So a point would have probably been a fair result. But on to the next game. But I do think we played like that, we'll pick up enough points to stay up for the rest of the season.